In this module, we will talk about some examples of different media which is mostly used by different workers while working on different products. Because it is very necessary to talk about such examples, just to know about what is the composition, what is the percentage presence of different compounds in that, what is the nature of those compound, and that what is the need of the use of those medium. So as concerned the colon in 1990, according to the colon 1990, that is a very excellent example in a process producing recombinant proteins by using Saccharomyces cerevisiae instead of just a biomass. The range of growth conditions which can be used is restricted because of factor affecting the stability of the recombinant proteins. So the control of pH and the foam during the growth in the fermentation in a fermenter were identified as two important parameters. When they use the molasses that would normally be used as a cheapest carbohydrate in most of the industrial fermentation, however, this is not acceptable for the recombinant proteins because molasses having so many other compounds that can affect on the quality of those recombinant product. But as concerned, the cost is very less as compared to other. So the colon and co-workers therefore used a defined medium while talking about the production of recombinant proteins. They mostly use the glucose and sucrose as a carbon source. So on the other hand, the minerals, minimal salt concentration, trace elements, pure vitamins and others, just for because the molasses contains some impurities. So the presence of those impurities in the molasses that become the factor while selecting the molasses for their. So that's why the colon and co-workers prefer the defined medium over the molasses. So in the next slide you can see about the typical medium for submerged fermentations by. So in this slide you can see that this is the first composition of the medium that is used by Nobel and Ratakak 1962 just for the production of ataconic acid, in which they used cane molasses, zinc sulfate and copper sulfate. And you can see in this slide 150 gram per liter, 1 gram per liter, 3 gram per liter and 0.01 gram per liter. As concerned the under Koffler in 1966, they used this medium for the production of amylase, but they used the ground soybean meal, autolyzed brewer yeast fractions, distilled dried solubles, enzymatic casein hydrolysate, lactose, magnesium sulfate, and then the addition of some antifoaming agent, Hodag Kg1, that is synthetic antifoam. So you can see here the percentage addition of these compound into that medium. So in this slide, that is another example of another medium used by Gore et al. In 1968 just for the production of glutamic acid. They use dextrose, ammonium hydrogen phosphate, potassium sulfate, magnesium sulfate, manganese sulfate, iron sulfate, and polyglycol 2000, biotin, and penicillin. And you can see the recipe of that. So 270 gram per liter. So these are different component of the medium used by Gore et al. Just for the production of glutamic acid. So these are the different examples of different media used by different scientist while producing different desired product. So there are different choices of the selection of the medium. As we know that the medium should be in that quantity, having a consistent and throughout year supply. So that will be preferable. So if we talk about in terms of Pakistan, Pakistan is mostly agriculture country. The fermentation, mostly fermentation industry in Pakistan, we know that the major part of the fermentation industry deal with the sugarcane industry. Almost 80% sugarcane industry have their own distilleries, and they are using the molasses for the production of ethanol. On the other hand, there is other industry that is related to this fermentation industry, that is alpha chemicals, that is involved in the production of L-ephedrine. They are also using the molasses medium along with some other ingredient. And there are some baker yeast industries in Pakistan like AB Mori and Ravi Ryan. They are also using molasses medium. So on the other hand, there are some others fermentation industry in Pakistan. They are using defined medium for the production of antibiotics. So depending upon the cost of the product and then the availability and the suitability of that substrate, there are different examples of different medium. So mostly when we talk about the production of amylase or production of cellulase, we mostly use either cellulosic, lignocellulosic materials or a starchy material, and then along with other some compounds that can be partially defined medium or a partially undefined medium, in which some ingredients are having a pure substances and some ingredients having not pure substance. They are just from the raw materials, but their composition, exact composition, is not known. So that's why there are the choice and the factors that affect on the selection of the medium.